Hello and welcome to this lesson on engagement strategies. So in this lesson, we'll have an introduction. We'll also be looking at building a community, look at responding to comments and messages. We'll also be looking at encouraging user interaction. So, what is engagement? Engagement refers to how users interact with your content, including likes, comments, shares, and direct messages. So, direct messages is what you call your DM. So, high engagement indicates a strong connection with your audience, leading to increased brand loyalty and visibility. So engagement is the lifeblood of social media success. It's very important. In this lesson, we'll cover effective strategies to build a community, respond to comments and messages, and also encourage user interactions through questions, polls, and challenges. So let's look at building a community. What is a community? Building a community is an engagement strategy, and building a community around your brand fosters a sense of belonging among your audience and could also help in turning passive followers into active participants. A strong community can amplify your brand's reach and influence. So if you think about you as a person, how you engage with a brand, I think it's very easy for you to engage with a brand based on if the brand have a sense of community where it's not all about being salesy and trying to sell something. You're trying to actually connect with your audience and actually build that community as well as provide value. So how do you build a community? First of all, you want to define your community's purpose. So as a brand, you want to clearly articulate what your community stands for and what its aim and objectives are. That is the vision and the mission. If you're a beauty brand that sell probably beauty product, maybe cosmetics, for example, or you're a fitness brand, you want to have a community. So let's take, for example, a fitness brand that sells maybe fitness products like um, exercise equipment, gym wears. You want to actually know what your community stands for. What is the purpose of the community? You want to have a community where people take their fitness more seriously. You want to have a community where people eat healthy, try to take their fitness journey. So you can just basically know what is the mission and the vision of this community. Then you want to go ahead to identify your target audience. So to identify your target audience, you have to conduct an audience research to understand their interests, their needs, and their pain points. So, okay, I want to understand who my target audience is. Your target audience is maybe young women or people working 9 to 5 that don't have time to exercise, and you can just decide to just do an audience research. Who are your target audience? What are their interests? What are they interested in? Are they interested in having are they interested in fitness, but because of their busy schedule or because they don't have motivation, you want to, that might be their pain point, and then the community is going to be there to support them. They'll buy gym equipment, or they can buy exercise equipment that they can use in the comfort of their home at night or something like that. When they return from work, they don't need to go to the gym. Just identify your audience's interests, needs, and pain points. You also want to create valuable content. So it's not just about creating a community. You want to also share valuable content. It's informative, entertaining, of course, to make the content more engaging and then that are relevant to your the content has to be relevant to your audience. So you want to share content, let's say like for example, like the fitness brand that we're talking about. We want to share content that are informative, how to exercise by just sitting down, like when you're sitting in your workstation, how to do some 5 minutes or 2 minutes exercise. You can also make it entertaining, how to pack your lunch so that you can eat healthy at work, how to set reminders for water, just make it more informative, educative, and entertaining, and obviously relevant to your audience and then your brand. You also want to engage consistently with the community, your brand. When I say community, like this community doesn't have to be like the normal community, having a Facebook group or something. You can literally build a community by having a simple Facebook page, an Instagram page, a X account. Like is that it's not it doesn't always have to be like a community that has to be named community. Your brand should have a community side of it. That's what I'm trying to say. So You have to regularly interact with your community members as your audience and encourage discussions by asking open-end questions. Oh, 9 to 5 workers, how do you exercise? How do you balance your fitness and then work? Just ask those open-end questions that encourage people to interact, encourage people to engage. So you can also add those open-end questions to the call to action of your caption. After saying something informative and relevant, you can just add, a call to action by asking open-end questions so that can encourage audience to participate. You also want to leverage UGC. UGC is user generated content, so you can when somebody buys an equipment from your store, from your brand, and they share, you encourage them to share, how they use it, if they like it, a review, and then you can highlight and share those content that they've created, with your community. So it could be, oh, this person bought a dumbbell and they're just sitting down in their workspace, working and then just using the dumbbell. Just something really informative, entertaining, and also encourage people that, oh, you don't have to have all the time in the world to take your fitness seriously. And then you can also host events and activities, so organize webinars, live Q&A sections, and then community challenges just to build the community. Have maybe bi-weekly or monthly webinars for encouraging the community to take their fitness more seriously, or if they have any Q&A. We have Q&A sections and also host challenges, like for example, the Get Fit waist trainer that had a challenge of using a waist trainer for a couple of weeks or so, and then people are posting about their journey and how they've been using the waist trainer, how many inches did they lose. Okay, the winner is going to win so prizes. You don't have to include prizes, but just make it more engaging. That way you're going to build a community. So now let's talk about responding to comments and messages, which is very, very important on social media. So what is the importance of responsiveness? Prompt and thoughtful response to comments and message shows that you value your audience input and you are dedicated to building relationships. It can also enhance user satisfaction and loyalty. So people want, prompt responses to comment and messages. And this is very important because people are not patient. Are not patient. They want let's say they want to buy something and they're reaching out to you. As they're reaching out to your brand, they're also reaching out to 3 or 4 other brands, to get response. It's more like the first person to respond is the one I'm going to purchase from. So let me share a personal experience. I wanted to buy something on Instagram and then I DM'd some vendors, like 3 different vendors to make inquiries, and then 2 vendors like took a while to respond. The other one responded almost immediately. It was like the brand was literally waiting for my message. Like immediately I sent it, there was this response, and it was not even like it's a human response, more like an auto response, just thanking me for reaching out, and they respond, and immediately they responded. So you want to, and I was happy, and I purchased from that brand because they were very quick to respond. So you want to be, respond quickly to comments, to messages. That way you can just build a relationship, and it also enhances the engagement and satisfaction of your customers, and it can also help to detect unusual activities and address negative comments before it escalates. So somebody may just go and type something negative um, on your comment section, and then that comment section is public, so you may not even know that somebody has done that, and maybe you didn't get notified. And then before you come back online, maybe 3 4 hours later, you notice that people have started, the comment has escalated and there's nothing you can do about it. So you have to make sure that your notifications are turned on so you get notified when people send messages so that you can stay on track and also to build satisfaction and loyalty. So when it has to do with responding, there are best practices for responding. You have to be timely, like I just explained. Aim to respond within a few hours, maybe no more. 24 hours is too much, but not more than 24 hours. So obviously you have working hours. So during your working hours, you want to make sure that you respond on time. You can use tools like Hootsuite, Business Suite to streamline your responses. Which one are unread? Which responses has not been which comment or messages have not been responded to, so you can respond respond to them. You try as much as possible to also be personal. When somebody leaves you a message, you try to personalize the response by adding their name. If somebody is asking about a product or the services that you offer, and maybe in their handle or in their page they have their name, you can just say, "Hello, Grace. Thank you for reaching out." Instead of just saying, "Hello, dear." Like Dthere. Like, well, so you can make it more personalized by saying their name or their nickname that is on their page. "Hello, Grace. Thank you for reaching out to us." So avoid generic replies. So make each response unique so that they would know that you actually wrote the response to them. Even if the you have like a template where you copy and paste, you have to make sure that it's personalized. So if somebody's leaving an inquiry, on your comments, you're like, "Hello, the person's name, thank you for this." So it's more personalized. Even if it's a template, you make it more personalized. You also want to stay positive and professional. So you maintain a friendly and professional tone when you're dealing, especially when you're dealing with negative comments. So you have to be professional. Don't just say things anyhow. Somebody is saying something negative about your brand, and then you're giving the person bad bows. You don't want to do that. Acknowledge your mistakes if you make mistakes, and also offer solutions when necessary in the comments or in the DM, because it's very easy for people to just screenshot what you said and drag you. So it's also important to encourage further interactions by asking follow-up questions, to keep the conversation going. When people leave comments, maybe you share content and somebody shares their experience, you can also go further to ask the user about something, tell them to express their thoughts, and that way you can drive more engagement. You also want to humanize your responses, so don't be all robotic. Use emojis and use gifs where appropriate. Okay, emojis and gifs can add personality to your responses, and they also make them more engaging, but you have to ensure that they align with your brand voice and then the context of the conversation. So it's not every conversation that you're going to use emojis. Emojis are just to lighten the conversation. So if somebody leave a comment, a nice comment, and you want to respond, you can use emojis, smiling emojis, heart emoji, but you shouldn't use an emoji that does not resonate with your brand voice and then the context of the conversation. So let's talk about handling negative comments. There are definitely going to be times when you're going to receive negative comments on maybe public, it might be in the DM, but most people like to make it public because they're trying to drag your brand. So the first thing you want to do is stay calm. That's the first thing you want to do. Stay calm. Don't take negative comments personally. You have to stay calm before you respond. Give yourself a moment to calm down if you're heated by the comments and all. Don't let it upset you, because anything you say when you're upset or anything you type when you're upset, you might regret it. So you have to calm down. That's the first thing you need to do. The next thing you want to do is to consider the source. Who even dropped this comment or this message? Is it a random person, or the person is actually a real person? Sometimes both, like people just have a page, they're just trying to drag you. So they just have open a page, no followers, no picture, nothing, and then they drop a funny kind of comment. So you want to be sure that they are not trolls or negative machines that are just leaving negative comments on your content or your comments. Then if it's actually not in, like, it's not a bot or something, is a real human being actually leaving a negative comment that is actually valid and it's actually a legitimate criticism, the next thing you want to do is to acknowledge that issue. So it might be worth addressing, and it's better to address it publicly. That's why your notification has to be turned on so that you can get to see this thing on time before it escalates. So you recognize the user's concern, show empathy, and apologize if appropriate and necessary. So if you're at fault, if your brand is at fault, please apologize publicly. Then you also want to respond professionally. So make sure that you're commenting very polite, not rude. Keep it professional. This shows the professionalism of your brand. Don't say, is that why you came to my comment to say this? Why didn't you DM me privately? No, no, you don't need to do those things. Keep it professional and polite. Then next you want to do is offer solution. If the comment is a complaint, you try to see if there's a way you can fix the problem and make it public. Like in the comment, if it's a comment, make it public. Like respond to it like publicly, then you can now move it to private message or email, so that anybody that comes to see that comment, they get to see how you address the negative comments, and probably if they have similar complaints, they may be able to pick it from there instead of dragging you again. Then if it's just trolls or something, you have to report it. If the comment is threatening, is harassing, you have to report, that comment, report the page, so that the platform, because social media platform, most of them like Instagram, Facebook, and the rest, they don't condone threats and harassment. So report that comment. So, how do you encourage users to interact with your brand on social media? Interactive content does not only engage with your audience, but it also provides insights into their preference and behaviors. It can also increase the brand visibility and foster a sense of community. So, you want to have, interactive content. Interactive content encourage your users to interact. So, what are the strategies for encouraging interaction? You want to ask questions, like I explained in the call to action, or the kind of content you have to um you create. You have to ask open-end question. Open-end question encourages people to engage. Would you rather, or what do you think about this? And then you make them engage, you encourage them to engage. You also want to create polls, this or that. Would you prefer this? Would you prefer that? If you had the opportunity with this, polls helps you gather opinion on various topics. So you can be strategic with how you put polls out there. That way you're able to get feedback from your audiences on what kind of content they like, or what you can do better in your brand. You can also host challenges, you know challenges that aligns with your brand. You can say, okay, let's do a photo challenge, let's do fitness challenge, let's do creative contest, do this, use the hashtags. That way people are you know creating content, and engaging with your platform. And then this would also lead to encourage user generated content, which is UGC. So when you see that, okay, they did this content, somebody used your product, and then they showed, maybe they did a DIY, or not, or maybe they use your product. They can just do a video of how they use the product, and then you can just share it on your social media channels, your website, marketing materials, of course with their permission. And then you just tell them, thank you for choosing the brand. This will motivate people to even participate more in the challenge, and that way you can encourage more user generated content. And you also want to utilize stories and live features. Many social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, have stories, and they also have live. Twitter have spaces. That's X has spaces. So you want to use those, visualize those features. The polls, the Q&A sections, to interact with your audience, and also to encourage feedback interaction. So that's it for this lesson. I hope you learned so much from it. So I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye.